Rome expected another easy victory. They had conquered kings, crushed empires, but this time they faced a queen who refused to kneel. And Rome was not ready. The Roman Empire, at the height of its power, it was an unstoppable force. They called the Mediterranean Mare Nostrum, our sea. They had conquered Greece, crushed Carthage. The Roman Emperor, Augustus Caesar, stood at the pinnacle of the world. But just beyond the southern border of this new Roman province, at the first cataract of the Nile, there was a line they were not supposed to cross, a line Rome was about to ignore. To the south lay the Kingdom of Kush, and Rome was about to make a terrible mistake. This was not a land of savages or barbarians. The Kingdom of Kush was one of the great civilizations of the ancient world. They had once ruled Egypt as pharaohs of the 25th dynasty. They built more pyramids than the Egyptians, and in the year 25 BCE, they were ruled by a queen. Her name was Amanirenas. Amanirenas was a Candake, a title held by the queens of Kush. But to the Romans, the word would become Candace, and they would learn to fear it. She was not just a queen consort, she was a warrior queen, a ruler in her own right. Kush was a wealthy nation. Their capital, Meroe, was a bustling metropolis of iron production and trade. But now, the new masters of Egypt, the Romans, were looking hungrily at their resources. They didn't just want peace, they wanted submission. Rome sent its tax collectors south, demanding tribute from Kush. They saw Kush as a vassal state waiting to happen. They were wrong. In 25 BCE, the Roman governor of Egypt, Aelius Gallus, made a fatal mistake. He marched his army into Arabia, leaving the southern border of Egypt virtually undefended. The Roman historian Strabo tells us what happened next. Queen Amanirenas had been watching, waiting. With an army reportedly 30,000 strong, she struck. Her forces swept down the Nile, crashing into the Roman garrison cities of Syene, modern-day Aswan Philae, and Elephantine. The Romans, caught completely off guard, were slaughtered. The Kushites sacked the cities, freed the prisoners, and took a vast amount of plunder. But among the gold and the captives, they took something far more valuable. They found a statue of the Roman Emperor, Augustus Caesar. They didn't just destroy it, they beheaded it. This is the actual head, the Meroe head of Augustus, made of bronze with eyes of glass and calcite. But look closely, it was buried with purpose. When word reached Augustus, the humiliation was absolute. He could not allow this insult to stand. A new prefect was dispatched to Egypt, a ruthless general named Gaius Petronius. He gathered 10,000 infantry and 800 cavalry and marched south with one order: destroy Kush. Petronius was efficient. He met the Kushite army near Selkis. Strabo describes the Kushites as brave but poorly armed, using large ox-hide shields and simple axes against Roman steel. The Romans crushed them, recapturing Syene and pushing deep into Kush. Petronius didn't stop there. He marched 300 miles south of the Roman border and sacked the sacred city of Napata, the ancient spiritual heart of Kush. He razed it to the ground, enslaved thousands, and installed a Roman garrison at Qasr Ibrim. He thought the war was over. He thought he had taught the Africans a lesson. But Amanirenas was not defeated. She retreated, regrouped, and when Petronius marched the bulk of his army back to Egypt, leaving a small garrison behind, she saw her moment. She was described by Roman historians as a masculine sort of woman and blind in one eye. But they mistook her ferocity for desperation. In 22 BCE, Amanirenas launched a massive counterattack against the Roman garrison at Kremnis. She had many thousands of men. Petronius had to rush back to relieve the fort. But when he arrived, he realised he couldn't beat her. Both sides were exhausted. So, Amanirenas did something brilliant. She didn't just surrender, she sent ambassadors to negotiate. She sent them not to Petronius, but straight to the top. They travelled to Samos, a Greek island, where Augustus was holding court. Imagine the scene. These dark-skinned envoys from the deep south, standing before the master of the known world. They did not beg. They negotiated from a position of strength. They pointed out that they had started the war because of Roman aggression. They offered to return the prisoners and the statues. but they refused to be slaves. Augustus, facing bigger problems elsewhere and seeing that conquering the desert was a fool's errand, agreed to terms. The terms were astonishing. Rome withdrew their forces from Qasr Ibrim and most of the 30-mile strip. Kush was exempted from paying any tribute to the Roman Empire. The border was pushed back to Maharaka. Think about that. Rome, the empire that crushed every nation in its path, fought a war for 3 years, and at the end, they gave up territory and asked for no money. In the ancient world, that was as close as you could get to admitting defeat. Queen Amanirenas had saved her kingdom. The peace she negotiated would last for nearly 300 years. Kush continued to thrive, trading with Rome as an equal, not a subject. She ruled for another decade, passing on a stable, powerful kingdom to her heirs. Today, the head of Augustus remains in London, but for centuries, it lay under the steps of a temple in Sudan, a silent testament to the day a one-eyed African queen stood up to the might of Rome and won. Her name was Amanirenas. Remember her,